Hey everybody, this is your girl Nikki Nicole of Divas of the Roundtable Podcast. I'm joined here today with my co-host Ladybug and Spicy Red. On today's show, we have Dr. Melissa Noland Chester. Melissa Noland Chester is a powerhouse educator, dynamic speaker, and soulful strategist with a mission to turn purpose into legacy. Known for her authentic voice, community-centered leadership, and ability to spark change across sectors, Melissa has inspired thousands through her work in education, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. She lives by the words, life is like a coin. You can spin it any way you wish, but you can only spin it once. And she has chosen to spin hers, uplifting others. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Dr. Melissa Noland Chester. Right. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You was put on our radar by one of our producers, Mike Batiste. He told me, he said, I got a very interesting lady I want you to meet. I think she would be someone who would be great for the show. And because we wanted to do a show leading into going back to school, highlighting people who are giving back to our students, the teachers, just the education of us.
Yes.
Right? Because it's so important in these day and times with everything that's transpiring and how the powers that be are trying to basically erase us and the importance that you guys give to the community and to our students. So we want to thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me again.
Right. So tell us, what inspired you to go into the field of education?
Oh, good question. Good question. I think I went into education. My degree, so I have 3 degrees. My bachelor's is in education. My master's and PhD are in sport management. Okay. And so growing up, I was an athlete and I was a nerd. And so I was I was the only Black in my classes, et cetera, because I was in advanced classes. But what I learned as a young person is that there are 2 things that nobody can take away from you. Like those are based just on your skill sets. And that was education and sport. And so those were my 2 passions. And so I blended those 2 passions together by getting my doctorate in sport management. And so I think education for me is the one thing that nobody can take away from you, no matter what. And so that is why it is my passion. And I know my God-given gift is educating others. No matter what space I'm in, I'm trying to teach and preach and speak. Yes. So that's the space that the Lord saw fit for me to play in.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So what made you start Black Educators Rock? What was
a great
what
question.
Was behind that?
So I have to, and I always, when I'm on stages and I'm all across the country talking about Black Educators Rock, I talk about the fact that was not the baby. I didn't birth that baby.
Okay.
So I didn't give birth to that baby. That baby was birthed by one of my former students at FAMU. So I taught at several universities, FAMU being my alma mater and my most favorite one that I taught at. One of my students, former football player, Roosevelt Kaiser, he called me one day. He was like, Doc, we should start a Facebook group for Black educators. He was like, we want to start a group and we're going to ask our educator friends to invite their educator friends. You come in and you invite 20. And so doing that, that group grew to over 100,000 Black educators in less than 90 days.
Oh, wow.
It was no promotions. It was all organic. And so we had this Facebook group and, we were watching the Facebook group and I told him, with that type of growth organically, you need to do more than just a Facebook group. Yes. Let's start a nonprofit. Yes. And so we started the nonprofit. So the idea was birthed from a Facebook group. Okay. And so then we went into the nonprofit and we started the nonprofit January 2016. We had our first conference July of 2016. So we weren't even a year old and we were putting on a conference. No money, but I had trained him and some other people who were on the board, how a board works. And then they put me on the board and they outvoted me. I'm like, we don't need to have a conference. We need to raise money. They're like, no, let's do a conference. And so we're actually getting ready for our 10th annual Rock Conference this summer. So we're on number 10.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're number 10. And you mentioned before that this one will be different than the others.
This one will be different. It was different. So this will be my second time having to go to virtual.
Okay.
So out of the 10 years, we've only been virtual during COVID.
Okay.
And so we'll be virtual this year because of the DEI. All we know, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We know that the federal government is denying funding as it relates to anything that deals with diversity. And so the fact that I am Black Educators Rock, I automatically fall into DEI. And so my educators who normally can get professional development dollars to travel and to come to the conference, that's no longer an option for them because of our name of the organization. And so we're going to just still do something.
Yes.
We're going to have a virtual conference, and we're going to make sure that we're uplifting and empowering them, because the conference is about getting them excited for the upcoming school year. Because what we noticed in the Facebook group, because it was 150,000 strong, and there are themes that we saw. And one thing that we saw was this disdain about getting ready for the upcoming year. Like it was like they were going back to prison. Like they were literally saying things like that. Oh, it's time to go get back in the lockup, and and so, and I was like, oh my God, we got to change this narrative. And so we started hosting the conference to get them excited about the upcoming year.
Okay.
Giving them resources, tools, upliftment, letting them meet like-minded people. And I can honestly say this conference has changed so many educators. There are many who came to the conference on a whim and I'm really leaving education. Like we're considering leaving, but went back and won Teacher of the Year.
Okay.
So it is a conference for teachers, counselors, superintendents, principals. So it's Black educators. So it's all things education. And it's not just for Black educators. It's for those teaching Black children. Because what a lot of us don't realize is that 85% of teachers are white females.
Okay.
So they're going to be teaching our children, whether we want them to or not. And so our conference it says it's for Black educators and those teaching Black children. And so I get that question a lot, like, is your conference just for Black people? No, if you look at my conference reels, you'll see white people that are comfortable being around Black folks and talking about Black things at the conference. Yes.
Do you find that a lot of the disdain that you all encountered with some of the teachers about going back to school was due in part to lack of support from the administrations at their school and the parents?
And that is a great question. That's something that we talk about a lot, is that we allow people to drive our narratives, right? So that was a lot of the talk. I don't get along with my principal, like you said, administrator versus teacher. And that's why we're Black educators, because it's not teacher versus admin. And it's not versus parent. We're all a village.
Yes.
We're all supposed to do this work together. Yes. So let's figure out how to do it together. And so the conference has parents, it has teachers, it has superintendents, it has principals, because that is one recurring theme that we did see in the post, was that administrator versus teacher dynamic, which is a dynamic that we try to make sure we obliterate in different ways. We do it by, hey, if you can't talk to your administrator, talk to another administrator.
Right.
Get another point of view from across the country, because Black Educators Rock is national.
Okay.
And we're even in Canada. We have members in Canada also, so international, I guess I can say as well. And so, yes, that is a theme that showed up often that I did not like.
Okay.
So I think I can speak on that, being in education for 27 years. I think going back to school it's stressful, because you have to meet all these expectations again. And the main thing, any teacher, anybody in education, the main thing that we are concerned about when we start back to school is if our room's set up. You always want your room set up.
Yes.
You always want your room to look a particular way. You always want your room to be warm and inviting for the kids the first week of school. So you're like, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. I gotta have my room set up. But you gotta go to meetings, and some of the meetings may not pertain to you. You gotta go to meetings of information that you've heard for 10 years in a row. And you got to go meet on these different committees that you've met on before. And sometimes it's the same thing, like over and over again with some of the redundant training. You're like, can we have something new? Can we have something refreshing? Because all we want to do when we get back to school is get our classroom set up, see our roster, start getting our stuff ready for our kids, the folders. That's what we're worried about, is making sure we have everything in place, in order. Because I know I'm going to start ordering stuff probably mid-July for my kids, so that when we come back, They can be like, hey, I'm ready. And you're like, whoo, I got my room set up. I don't have to do this and meet with our principals. And we hate when we have to come back to school. And the first thing we got to talk about is that testing data.
I was waiting on that. That's what I was waiting on, the testing data.
That testing data, that testing data.
What exactly is that, and how does that affect the educators that you all have come in contact with Black Educators Rock? Like the pressure from the testing, how does that affect those?
It's so interesting she brought that up again, because we're national, and so we're superintendents, we're principals, we're teachers, we're counselors. I need to let you need to make sure you come to the virtual conference. The one thing that we have 3 areas of focus that we focus on with Black Educators Rock. We have instructional strategies and practices, professional knowledge, and advocacy and empowerment. And I think where we differ from most conferences is that we put a lot of energy in that advocacy and empowerment, building up the educators. So we do things like financial literacy. We're doing self-care, physical and mental health and well-being. We're doing all those things. And something else that we talk about in that is that you got to make sure people are okay before you can make sure about some test scores. And so one of my closest friends in Black Educators, he's actually on my think tank. So I have a BER think tank, and it's Principal Baruti Kafele. He's an international speaker on leadership. Dr. Marcus Jackson. Dr. Marcus Jackson is a turnaround principal superintendent. He goes from state to state, turning around test scores. So he was in Louisiana. Okay. So I'm bringing him up for a reason. He was in Atlanta. Then they took him to Louisiana. He was in Louisiana with a hurricane, a flood, and one other major disaster. And despite all of that, their test scores rose every year that he was there. And it's because he focuses on the people first. He focuses on the affective domain first. And so if you focus on people and the affective domain, the rest of it will follow. But what we see in the system is that we focus on test, scores. Oh, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for SEL. We don't have time for that. When in actuality, it's the other way around. And so I know that you have that quote as my favorite quote. Yes. But when it comes to Black Educators Rock, my favorite quote is, in a system of oppression, you are either an oppressor or a revolutionary. And so most people, what they do is they tend to fall into education and be status quo, and they're oppressors. You're oppressing. You're just as oppressing as the system because you're not being out of the box. And so we try to talk to our administrators and superintendents about, hey, let's de-emphasize the test scores so much, and let's focus on the self-care of the teacher. Because a lot of our teachers, they're dealing with a lot of stuff, right? And then we're expecting them to come in and and then we're not giving them the resources, the money. And I talk about this a lot too on the platform. Again, understand that white females are the majority of educators. So when people say, oh, they need to raise teachers, they're never going to raise teacher salaries. Why? Because the white female is not the wage earner in the home. There's no need for her to put more money in because that's just something she's doing, right? That's not her husband is the breadwinner. Right. And so that's never going to be where they're going to put a lot of money in education. And so what we have to do is find other ways to support our educators. And it starts with, like I said, the affective domain first, making sure they're good financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, health-wise, and you're going to get the best educator in that classroom.
You answered my question. I was going to ask you about advocating of educators, so you answered my question.
So let me ask you this. What changes have you noticed in education from the start of your career to now?
So my career is higher ed. So both, when it comes to higher ed or K-12, the changes that I've noticed most, unfortunately, is the lack of village, right? People act like the things that we're seeing with children now is new, right? It's not. Parents been absent. Parents been not buying supplies, but we act as if that is a major deal now. And like I said, with Black Educators Rock, what we saw in our Facebook group, which is one reason that we used to allow anybody to post, but then we started monitoring the posts to change the narrative. Because what you're not going to do is be a Black person coming on here talking about Black children. Right. So we had a lot of people just talking about how, these kids are this and these kids are that. And I'm always the one that says, if these kids are anything, it's 3 hitting you back in the chest.
Yes.
If the generation is torn up, the 2 generations before have not done their job. And so what I've noticed is that there's a lot more blame. Yes. There's a lot more we don't identify with our people as much. You know, that's those kids, they kids, and it's different. And so that's one thing that we push in Black Educators Rock. So every year I do a Kwanzaa celebration at the end of the year, and we go through the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And one of those big ones is, I am because you are because I am. It's village. Yes. And so that is the biggest change that I've seen, which of course is a snowball effect on everything else.
Exactly. That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And I think the village is very important with education, because you also need that village outside of school. And the village starts with the principal, the administrators, because if you are in a school and you feel like your administrators don't care for you, that's very difficult. But if you feel like you're in a school where everybody cares and the teachers have their back, or their parents, you can call your parents and say this, because I know I can call my parents. Hey, I got a meeting. Okay, Miss Reed, I'm just going to sign the paperwork because I know you're going to take care of it. I'm like, fine. As long as I get my paperwork, as long as you know what's going on, I am content. So I can call my parents and say, hey, we didn't have a good day today. So what can we do tomorrow to make this better? Or, hey, I heard you was going to get ready to pull her out and send her to another school. I don't need you to pull her out. I need her to stay here with us. I know Miss Reed. She already told me. So she coming back next year. Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. We got her. I was like, don't send her to them other schools. She don't know them. She doesn't know these people. Send her where she is loved and where she is cared for. So I think having a village, but having a caring village makes so much, because teachers go through stuff. We go through deaths, divorces.
That's right.
Pregnancies. We go through ups and losses.
Sicknesses, illnesses, everything.
And when you have that village, it makes a whole difference. When I lost my mama, that school year, I didn't go back to school from Thanksgiving till the beginning of the year. And when I came back to school, they had a big banner. Everybody had signed it. The kids had signed it. You know, I was in tears, but it was like I knew everybody at that school understood what I was going through. They cared for me. You get some schools, they don't have that. We have a hospitality committee at our school. We make sure we take care of birthdays, pregnancies, deaths, ups and downs. We try and keep in contact with each other inside of school and outside of school. So that way, sometimes you might not be happy outside, but when you come into school, it's a different story. So you look for schools that are warm, welcoming, inviting, and they have a great culture, because that culture is going to push the teachers to do better, and that's going to push the students to do better, because the teachers are going to want to teach if they're in a warm, welcome environment, and the students are going to want to learn if they feel that their teacher is loving and caring for them.
So funny that you say that. 2 things it made me think about. So one of our colleagues, one of my Black Educators Rock members, Dr. Tommy Mabry, he starts off one of his speeches. He says, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, but what if the village is corrupt? So he talks about the fact that, so like you said, to the point of the village has changed. Like the village is not as strong as it was. And then you talked about on and off school grounds. And so I am also a part of an organization called Off School Grounds. Okay. Now, Off School Grounds Coalition is more superintendents, principals, leaders. Okay. Right. So they focus on them because, again, like you're saying, we have to make that environment good for the teachers. And it's called Off School Grounds because you must take care of those educators and those children and those families off school grounds. Yes. You know, food insecurity, different things like that first, in order to ensure that they're going to have good times and productive times in school. And so, you know, I think for me, this thing with education is twofold. One, it's we as a people have to understand the power of collectivism. We are a people who are meant to be in groups. We function better in community. But what we tend to do is to adopt Eurocentric values. And they're counterintuitive to who we are as people. And so what we try to do with Black Educators Rock is not just Black Educators Rock, but we partner with Off School Grounds and other nonprofits and say that, hey, we're all doing this work. It's not about competition. It's about these children, these families, because at the end of the day, we're all we got.
Yeah,
we all we got, right?
Definitely.
And so we got to keep working towards that.
Can you go more in depth as to your belief on how important it is for Black educators in this country to show up and be present in the eyes of students of color?
Oh gosh, that's something that we do a lot of research on. When you look at research, it shows that whether you're a black, white, Chinese, those children do better when they've been put in front of a black educator, right? And there are students who have never had a black educator. We've done that, seen that research as well, where they're saying, I've never had a black educator in front of me. And so the power of it is, it for one, you can't be what you can't see.
Yes.
Two, we can talk about our experiences and how we navigate life structures. All that stuff is different.
It is.
It's just different. And so those things are integral to students functioning well, is having black educators. And so, there are initiatives. Duval County Public Schools has an initiative. Theirs is called The Ones.
Okay.
And so that's where they're trying to recruit black and Hispanic male educators.
Okay.
There's a group out of Philadelphia, BMAC, the Black Male Educators Convening, BMAC. So they're about recruiting black males. So because black males make up less than 2% of teachers.
It's not a lot of
It's not. So think about, so that tells you how likely you are to not just see a black male teacher, right? So it's less than 2%.
And why do you think that is so? Is it because
again, finances. As a black man, I can't raise my family on a teacher salary.
That's right.
There's not enough money there, right? So remember, I said the white female is because they're not the wage earner. But as a black male, you're the wage earner.
Yes.
$50,000, $60,000 a year, and you're trying to have a family,
That ain't gonna
right? And then you do have some of those who are so admirable that they are in this work, and we know they are not in it for the money.
Yes.
And so another thing that we do in Black Educators Rock is promote multiple streams of income. Yeah, I'm a real estate broker and owner, real estate instructor. I tell all educators, you should have your real estate license. If you sell one house a year, you can supplement your income from a few $1,000s to $40,000, depending on the price point of the house.
Yeah.
Just think about that. So I can just go sign one contract with one customer and add $10,000 to my salary.
Yes.
Right? And then investing. What we have to do as educators is teach our educators that if you're going to be in education, you're probably going to have a multiple stream of income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In order to,
Yeah, 'cause I've always worked 2 jobs.
Yeah.
This is my first summer off in like 23
I believe
24
it.
years. I've
Yeah.
never taken a summer off. So I've always seen it, but it's because I grew up, my mama was a teacher. So I always saw my mama hustling and working, and she always had 2 jobs, did whatever at the school, did whatever after school.
Right.
So she was always working. So my brother and my brothers in education, we always work. We work nonstop, year round, 12 hours a day. We at the school doing different things. So
but is that fair? But that's not fair. That's not a good quality of life for you all.
That's not fair, but that's just
That's the work.
that's the work.
That's the work, and those are the things that we have to work on improving. And how we improve that are things, like I said, educating them. So one of our off-school grounds members, his name is Dr. Travis Brown. He has a charter school in New York. He just did one of the most phenomenal conferences I have ever been to. It was for teachers. It's called Teach Jam.
Okay.
And it's a one-day conference. This guy brought in the top crypto people, real estate people, investing people for free, for a conference for free, to come in to help educators learn how to start investing, right? Because you're going to have to diversify your dollars. And so I think,
Doing that now.
and it's not easy, right? Because we have to think about our lived experiences. Like I tell people, I'm a horrible example. Like I'm someone who, because I grew up poor, I grew up in a buy here, pay here, no credit card. Mama didn't have a bank account. I tend to like to see my money in the bank, but your money not working for you in the bank.
Sure is.
And so you have to think about how your lived experiences impact us and affect us when it comes to investing in those things. But I'm glad to hear that you're doing that now. Hopefully, educator, you're gonna get there doing that, right? You gotta diversify your dollars. I tell people, you just crypto. I know it's the unknown, but you put the money in that you won't miss. You know, the $500, $1,000 that you were gonna buy the purse or the shoes, right? You know, one of my favorite quotes is "Guns and butter, baby," out of Baby Boy. Black people, we tend to spend our money on butter, stuff that depreciates, as opposed to things that appreciate, real estate, investing. So guns and butter, guns versus butter. We just got to start doing better as a people with that.
Yes. Looking ahead, what is your long-term vision for Black Educator Rock?
So I know my immediate future is, so there's a lot of talk around literacy. We know that they build prisons based on third grade test
Grade
scores.
test scores.
That's just the truth of it. We talk about it all the time. I hear everybody saying, oh, you know, we gotta reach them before kindergarten. But I don't see any true initiatives doing that. And so Black Educators Rock, my immediate future is including birth to 3 years old.
Okay.
Because we're K-12. So doing that birth to pre-K4.
Okay.
And make sure we're having initiatives and teaching about that. You know, when that baby's in that mom's belly, we need to be reading to them, letting them hear audiobooks. So that's the immediate future. And I think for the long-term future, creating certifications, Black Educators Rock certifications in different things, like investing, being able to come and teach kids how to invest, crypto, those type things, and also just being better educators. So doing some BER certifications, I think, is in the near future.
Is there anything that you all can see, or you could let the audience know that parents can do, family members and parents can do, to help you guys be more effective when reaching our children?
That's a good question. So that makes me think about Coach Carlos. So another one of my BER think tank members is Coach Carlos.
You say something profound, look into that camera.
Okay. Coach Carlos is someone who's who does parent engagement. And so he talks about the different types of parents. Because I think as educators, sometimes we feel like sometimes some parents aren't able to help. They aren't. They don't have the capacity. And I think when it comes to what can they do, I think it's what the educator has to do is make the parent comfortable letting them know what my level of capability is, right? Some parents are never going to be able to attend a meeting because they're working 2 and 3 jobs,
Yes.
right? We can't fault those parents for that. But if there was one thing that I would say we need for parents to do is what they used to do in the past, and that's trust us and believe that we got your children's best interests at heart. Like I said, that village concept has switched. It's now it's parent versus teacher.
Yeah.
And it was never that. When we were growing up, we know the teacher called home, mama was on
You're
you.
in trouble.
Yes.
You
Right?
are in
That
trouble.
it was no your word versus the teachers.
Exactly.
So and we have to get back to that. So I would just ask parents and teachers who are parents, to just get back to that understanding. Ms. Reed ain't been here 27 years because she don't love kids.
Right.
Do you think she has any ill intentions for your children? And you know your children better than anybody.
Yes.
You know them demons you raising.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
You know.
Stop that.
You know.
Right? You know.
You know.
You know the devil I know, right?
know.
And so just us getting back to that, understanding that we are in this fight together, and parents just being honest about what their level of skill set is and their level of capability as it relates to helping that educator get that baby where he or she needs to be.
Okay.
Right. So my next thing is, so how do you manage everything? The mother, the CEO, the realtor, the author. How do you manage it, and what does your self-care look like?
Admittedly,
Oh,
I didn't have any self-care up
Okay.
until recently.
okay.
That is something that I'm gonna tell people: get you a good group of friends,
Good.
accountability partners. One of the best things that the think tank does for me is hold me accountable when it comes to what I'm doing for the Rock Conference and Black Educators Rock. But then off school grounds, those leaders hold me accountable as to what I do for me.
Okay.
And so the one way that I always tell people, my in-love, so I'm divorced. I was married to Albert Chester. His mother is Karen Chester, who was a teacher for 44 years, is a teacher, still teaching. Her husband, Albert Sr., her parents, the best village in the world. From the time I had my 2 sons, I've had to fight to get them. I'm like, hey, I'm home. Can they come home this weekend, right? So it is truly a village.
It is.
So the village allows me to do the things that I do professionally when it comes to the Rock Conference or going and speaking all across the country and internationally, because I've spoken in Canada and some other places. It is my village. So I do have a phenomenal village. My children have great grandparents and great-grandparents and aunts and uncles who support us, because they play every sport you can think of. They're in sport. I'm running the country, and so it is the village.
Yeah.
Now the self-care piece is a piece that I'm working on.
Okay.
Even finding out what do I like to do, because I do so much for everybody else that I had to. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I like, and that's terrible.
Yes.
And so I can't be out here telling educators what to do and I'm not doing it. And so I am in that space right now of learning how to pull back and not be everything to everybody.
Right.
And learn that you cannot pour from a half empty cup.
That's right.
Listen, and Zalavan, y'all said it on an Oprah show one time. She said, because, and I was like, she's talking directly to me. Talking to you and you. Y'all, we pour and pour and pour and pour and pour and pour, but they need us. And she said, it is disrespectful. If you truly are about serving people, it is disrespectful to pour from an empty cup or a half full cup. So you have to fill your cup first because you're doing the people that you are trying to help a disservice. Right. And for those of us who are other-centered, looking at it that way will move us to taking care of ourselves better.
Yes.
Because some of us are other-centered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's me.
And my thing is, if I'm pouring into you and you're not pouring into me, what am I doing? Because I want, like I always say, I want to be a blessing to someone other than myself. And I want to pour, and I want my cup to be so full that it runs over into someone else. So that means I can be a blessing to someone other than myself.
And that's what it's supposed to be. And you talked about reciprocity. Again, so I talk a lot about managing and setting expectations. I think you have to just understand the level of capacity of people.
Yeah.
Some people are just not going to be able to give to the level that you give. I'm somebody that had to realize that because I'm all in. I'm all in. And most people are not.
Right.
Okay.
Most people are not. And so you have to not put you on other people.
Yeah.
That is something that I had to learn how to stop doing.
Everybody's not you.
Everybody's not you.
That's it.
And that's a part of self-care too.
Yeah.
Right? Because you going hard, and then the first time you need something, you don't get it. You mad at everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's not their level of capability. That's not their level of skill set. And so those are things that I'm learning to deal with in this season.
So before we get out of here, let the people know about your organization, Black Educators Rock, and what you all have going on. Just let the people know what you all are.
So again, Black Educators Rock is a national nonprofit. We're a member nonprofit. We're $50 a year for educators. Edupreneurs, those who do something with education, can join for $100 a year. And then we promote you throughout our Facebook group and et cetera. But we host annual professional development conferences every summer that move around the country. This conference will be July 17th through the 20th. And it'll be virtual. So more information will be out about that. You can see us, all of our websites, www.blackeducatorsrock.org or www.rockconference.org. And our phone number is 1-833-4BER Inc.
All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Melissa Chester Noland.
Noland Chester.
I'm sorry. Dr. Melissa Noland
Yes.
Chester, respectfully. We appreciate you being on the show, ma'am. We love what you're doing, and we appreciate what you're doing and how you're pouring into the educators who would then pour into our children.
Yes.
So this was today's show. You guys know, if y'all get that call from the school telling you to pick up your bad behind kids, think of my girl Ladybug. She's been in education for 27 years.
Yes.
So this year it will be 28. 28 in August. If you're riding the highways and byways of the United States and you pass that FedEx truck, think of my girl Spicy Red. She's out on the roads. Y'all, please be safe out there. And if you think of anything dealing with love, peace, and prosperity, please think of me. Y'all be blessed. Have a good evening.
All right.
Thank you.